Hello and welcome to Classeek 15. This is the home of classical music career advice, featuring bite-sized 15-minute conversations with classical artists and insiders. I'm Jack Pepper. I'm a composer, radio presenter and author, and today we're digging inside one of our key themes of the year, life as an artist. From practice routines to making your debut to visas and travel. And to discuss all of this, today we're welcoming the 26-year-old Azerbaijani mezzo-soprano Elmina Hasan. She's an artist of the Classeek Ambassador programme and one of their first singers, actually. She's performed with Placido Domingo and at La Scala and is in the midst of many important debuts. Among them, her house debut as Carmen at the Vienna State Opera and her North American debut as Olga in Eugen Onegin at the Santa Fe Opera Festival. So we began with the idea of beginnings and debuts. What are the do's and don'ts of a debut? What makes a good first impression?
I would say personally, of course, it may change for the other people, but for me, a debut, it's not being only super prepared like a structure for the role, but it also prepared mentally, and it really depends on which kind of role I'm singing. And I know it's not really right to hear from the musician, but sometimes I'm just cutting the thing between the main debuts and the main roles. And less important, I mean, sometimes when you do maybe the secondary roles, they're all super important, of course, because you have to represent your name. And of course, you have to be on top. But sometimes when you can't just be a little bit relaxed with the role, of course, I will prefer to be relaxed more than the stress about every kind of details. Because, you know, as a musician, it's not only the role, but it's everything that you're doing before the debut starts. So it's your travels, so it's your expenses, so this is the visa things that we're going to talk about this later. And you have to prepare if you are, for example, like as me, debut in the really foreign kind of language, like a French or it's German repertoire. So you also had to prepare your language as well. It's a huge way, much way before that starts, much way before when you're going already on the stage.
And is there a danger when you know that it's a first impression and you want to do the best, that you over practice, you over sing in the build up, you overuse your voice? Is that a danger?
For me, it's overthinking about the role is a danger. So a mentally part of the role when you're super stressed and when you're young and you're stepping in the huge theaters, when it's gonna be a huge amount of the people who are watching you, and when you debut as a roles like a Carmen or the Charlotte or somebody who are in the center, it's a huge stress for you, first of all, because of the huge theaters and everything that's around you. So, of course, I'm thinking about this so much, and I suggest everybody just relax to go sleep. But for sure, I'm not going to sleep the night way before the most important debut in my life. And I think it's maybe okay because it's a huge responsibility.
So this might be like the impossible question, Elmina, but how do you not overthink? How do you avoid overthinking?
It's not that impossible, but I distract myself with the gym and, of course, with the people who's around me, because I'm working with wonderful colleagues. I have my friends, I have my family with whom I can speak and talk. And, you know, when I'm going out from the theaters are going out from me. So I'm not speaking about the work when I'm at home, maybe just this little time, little space to learn something, to practice something. But it's really important to separate your work and your life. Like, it's not the same circle.
And balance, I'm guessing, is particularly important also when you're studying lots of different roles and very different, you know, pieces and composers as well, you know, Onegin to Faust to Carmen. So would you be working on these operas simultaneously? Would you study different roles at the same time, or are you quite careful at doing one after the other?
I wish I will be that musicians who prepare everything at a time. But, you know, I am not, unfortunately, that super strict. And right now I'm preparing simultaneously lots of roles, but this works on me. I mean, this is my chaos. And in this chaos, I'm very comfortable. So it works for me. I'm really cool. When I started to work in, I have lots of patience and a passion also to learn everything. So I can transfer some knowledge from one part that I'm learning to another and the third and the fourth. For me, it's working like that. I love to work when I'm already in the work, not like, okay, today I'm gonna do Carmen, then 1 month of stops, and then we're gonna do Charlotte. No, I'm happy in my chaos.
And can you define chaos for those of us outside of it? Is it like, you spend a couple of hours on this opera and then literally a couple of hours on another, or is it day by day? What does the chaos look like practically?
I can start my morning with a French diction on the Charlotte part, and end with the ensemble of Carmen with my tutors, with my mentors. So it's just like the same thing at the same day, different things at the same day.
But does your process follow a similar kind of line regardless of the role? Where do you start? What is your learning process if you're looking at something completely new?
First of all, it's always starting much way before the music starts. So you have to understand the character, why she or he, because sometimes, the mezzos are singing also as boy. So it's really important to understand why they are doing kind of things, why they're speaking about that, why they're feeling about that in the way that they feel. So, of course, I would say I'm starting from understanding who I am for the moment. And I'm starting to find these little pieces in my own character. Because even if we're gonna see every kind of famous Hollywood actors, they're not playing, they're like living in the role. And the musical theater is the same, but we're not talking, we are singing. And most of the people who are in audience cannot understand sometimes the words, or they don't speak the language that we're singing. So it's really important to make them believe in what are you doing on the stage. And for making them believe, you have to believe and you have to find these points. So I would say to prepare some roles, in essentials, is to understand who you are at the moment and why you act like that. And then you add the text, it's pronunciation, it's the translate part. If when you are speaking with a native speaker in the language that you are learning, because sometimes not everything that written actually means that. So you need to find the double senses to understand much way more. And of course, then you're working like it's just a simple solfeggio when you're just learning the part, when to breathe, when to start. And then when you've done everything, you finally go in the final part when you can add everything that you learn and go out on the stage.
And the language, having been born in Azerbaijan, is that an extra level of sort of difficulty or challenge? How do you access that from your language point of view?
Oh, of course it's a challenge. Because singing, you at least have to know Italian. And of course, it's good for mezzos to know French, because the most important repertoire that we can sing, it's not French. So for Azerbaijani, it's really hard because you already have to learn English, because this is the first language that you have to communicate with everybody. The second is Italian, because the opera was born in Italy, so everything that at this kind of art you have to understand. And in the theaters, they are speaking more Italian than English, and you're working with a maestro, and everything's written in Italian. And it's a pity, because this is not that much important in our countries as I wish it was, because of course I had to learn it after 4 years of bachelor and after 2 years of master. And I didn't have a lot of time to prepare myself. It's just like the life pushed me into reality when you have to speak. Because when the first time I visited Italy, I understand that my English, it's absolutely useless in some countries, because they don't speak. And they are right, because I have to speak to understand something. And of course, when I started to speak the language, I understand kind of arias and kind of characters much way better than it was.
So what kind of support did you have growing up in Azerbaijan? What kind of opera, classical and language support did you get there? Is there much?
It's really important to start with someone who don't rush you and who don't ruin your natural voice. And I was super fortunate, because my first maestra, she helped me to develop it at some level. But of course, and unfortunately, because we're super far away from the Europe and everything, it was really impossible to get another knowledges. And I just stopped to develop myself. That's why I decided to move in another country. And then, of course, I went to the Europe, and I'm still receiving a lot of information because it's never enough.
So just give us a timeline then from when you moved away from Baku and Azerbaijan. Where did you go?
Was in 2021. So it's actually 6 years ago, I think.
Right. So you would have been about 2021 when you moved out of Azerbaijan permanently to
Georgia, to Tbilisi. It's not that far. It's super close, but it's still another country.
And so what helped you when you started to think internationally and wanting to be an international artist? What helped you?
COVID helped me to understand that I want to be someone more just an opera singer in Azerbaijan and I'm super thankful for this period. When everyone was super blocked in their houses, I just realized myself that this is not the place I want to be. I'm not speaking about the Azerbaijan is not the country, but I mean about the realization of who I am and who I can be, but I won't able to be because I was super in the routine. And when you are going so deep in the routine that you're doing every day, you can see the horizon of the future. And when I just felt myself alone and blocked at the house for a long period, like for 1 year, I just tell myself, no, I can't continue like that. So I would love to move and push all of the limits that I have.
And what helps you then go even beyond that, beyond Georgia, to get the attention of European opera houses? What's the most important first step? Is it
I
an
just
agent
applied for the master.
It's a course?
Yes, it was a conservatoire. And this is the most important thing. Do not run for the name of the place that you're going, because I also was accepted in Italy as well as in Moscow, but I've done a deep research and I was searching for a good mentor, for a good coach, instead of being in the cool place, you know. And when I decided to move to Georgia, everyone was talking like, are you crazy? You're going in Georgia. You get accepted like for in Italy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no, I'm going there not because it's Italy or it's Russia or it's Georgia. I'm going there for a specific one person. And as we ended up, she was the first maestra as well as my first agent who represented me in the opera world, because she's a famous Georgian soprano. She's Tamara Veri. And of course, she knew a lot of useful for me. So having this potential of her to invite, for example, the famous conductor or famous best baritone, or do a competition for the young singer when I also can participate and can show myself. She was the first representation of Elmina Hasan.
It's the teacher you have, the person you know, the people around you, over potentially where you are, where you're studying, but also maybe even competitions. Would you put, if you were sort of ranking the most important things for you starting out, what was at the top?
The first is maestra, your teacher. Because when you are in a good hands, you have direction, especially when you are working with experienced musicians. They know this word from inside, so they don't push you so much, but they're like, no, you have to do like this because, and then they explain you why, and you're just starting to reflecting like, oh yes, maybe she has a lot of experience, so she's right. No, you have to perform in this way, or it's even useful for structure yourself for the competition, because the competition is not about that, oh, who is the loudest, that's the win. No, it's about the program as well that you struct, the way you perform. So the first, it's always a mentor that you have. The second is I would say the ambience that you are in. It's really important to be in the circle of musicians who are working on themselves and see how they work. So I was around really competent person, people, my friends. And of course, when you are in the working place that everybody loves and appreciate, you want to do more and more. It's just healthy circumstances that helps you to go in. And third, of course, that the competition. And I would not lie to you, because the competition are important for two things. You are going out in the international platform, as well you get your finance, because you have to pay for everything by yourself. Unfortunately, being a musician, it's really, really hard from the point of view of the financial thing. You have to pay for your travel, you have to pay for mentors, you have to pay for diction coaches, you have to pay for the pianists who accompany you while are you working with your master. So I would say like that.
Okay, and so if there's something that you've learnt from your career to date, something that you kind of wish you'd known when you started,
to plan everything much way before. To prepare all possible documents much way before. Right now I have everything. I have everything in my phone, officially scanned. So in any case, for every kind of embassy, I have already prepared this kind of blanks for applying for a visa, for example. And I have already done a similar photo in a really different clothes for the visa applications. So this is essentials for the documentation that I would love to do this before, because I was trusting so much before, and it went like I lost the contract because I didn't get visa in time. So
right, okay. So if you were doing the ultimate Elmina young artist do's and don'ts, do would be get your documents, templates ready so you know what's expected of you, plan in advance. What would be your kind of your do's and don'ts for life as a young artist?
First of all, be mentally prepared for any kind of cases, to work with absolutely different people. So you have to be mentally stable for that. Sometimes you have to overwork, not because you oversing, but because you overthink about the role. So just you have to relax, to be relaxed, and to be mentally prepared. Prepare, of course, the role. Not as me sometimes, who opened this course the week before the start of the contract. So it was years ago. And it's also the huge mistake that I would never be do or repeat again. So this is don't open the score the 1 week before the contract starts. It's really bad idea. Even if you do, even if you know that you have the premiere after a month, no. Trust me, started learning before. Do's, pay attention to your physical materials as well. Do every possible to stay as much as you can, because it really can ruin everything if you get sick. So this is the most essential do's. And don'ts is just, you don't have to pay, don't pay attention to these essentials. So it's kind of, they're like super close to each other.
Yeah, I always remember what you were saying about looking after yourself. There was a good piece of advice I was told is look after yourself, because you are all you have, ultimately. So
they're going to change you in less than 3 seconds. Don't overwork. Don't over sing, especially in the rehearsal, because no one's going to appreciate that in the theater. So if you can, don't sing in the rehearsal. Don't sing. If you can't, not overworking on the rehearsal from the point of actor, don't do this. You have a lot of time after, because the theater is a huge business for nowadays. And if you're not gonna care about yourself, nobody gonna care about yourself. Not the agencies, not the theaters, not the conductors, not the directors. Just you, and you. I would say that.
Elmina Hasan, thank you for joining us, and good luck with all the debut.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk about it.
Thanks so much for listening to this Classeek 15. And remember, all of these chats are available on the usual podcast platforms and online at classeek.com. And if you'd be so kind, do like and subscribe. That way you can get the latest updates and new episodes. And if you leave a nice review, that's always much appreciated too. Thanks for joining me, Jack Pepper, and I hope to have you around this corner again very soon.